The day had started like any other. People all over Earth woke up, went to work, schools opened, and the rhythm of daily life hummed softly beneath the sky. Cities buzzed with the usual sounds of traffic, laughter, and the endless chatter of millions of voices. It was a world filled with dreams and worries, simple joys and complex problems, but utterly unaware of the storm gathering above, far beyond the clouds, past the reach of any ordinary telescope. Something dark was moving. Something massive. Something that would change everything in the quiet calm of space. A fleet of enormous alien ships drifted closer to Earth's orbit. They were not just any ships. They were war machines, built to conquer and destroy. Their hulls gleamed cold and metallic, covered with weapons so advanced that even the best human scientists could barely understand their purpose. The aliens inside those ships saw Earth as a small, weak world, a target ripe for the taking. They had watched humanity from afar and laughed at their technology, their politics, and their petty conflicts. To the aliens, Earth was nothing more than a fragile insect waiting to be crushed. The moment arrived without warning. In the blink of an eye, the sky was filled with fire. Giant beams of energy shot from the alien vessels, striking down cities. In powerful explosions, great towers of flame rose, and clouds of smoke blotted out the sun in many places. The earth trembled under the weight of destruction, and millions of people screamed in fear and confusion. Governments scrambled to respond, sending fighter jets into the skies, launching missiles, and activating every defense system they had. But the alien technology was unlike anything Earth had ever faced. Their shields absorbed attacks that would have destroyed lesser ships. Their weapons cut through human defenses like a hot knife through butter. In command centers across the globe, world leaders met in panic. Emergency broadcasts urged people to find shelter, to stay calm, but the truth was terrifying. Earth was under attack by an enemy far beyond human understanding. The alien ships were not interested in negotiation or diplomacy. They wanted conquest. They wanted it now. Amid the chaos, a small group of survivors banded together. They were soldiers, scientists, and civilians, strangers brought together by fate in the ruins of what once was a bustling city. Captain Elena Reyes, a pilot with nerves of steel, took charge. Her eyes burned with determination as she looked around. The broken room where they had gathered, "We're not dead yet," she said firmly. "We're going to fight." Around her, others nodded, fear mixed with fierce resolve. They knew the odds were against them. The aliens had the power to destroy whole cities with a single blast. But humanity had something else, a stubborn will to survive. In the days that followed, Earth became a battlefield like no other. Entire regions were turned to ash, communication networks failed, and supply lines were cut. The aliens pushed forward relentlessly, their machines advancing with cold precision. But beneath the ruins, in underground bunkers and hidden shelters, humans fought back. Guerrilla groups struck at alien supply lines. Scientists worked feverishly to understand captured technology, and civilians shared what little food and water they had. The first shock had passed, but the war was far from over. The aliens, confident in their victory, began to lower their guard. They expected humanity to crumble quickly, to surrender or be wiped out. But what they did not expect was the rise of resistance. Hidden weapons projects that had been secret for decades were suddenly revealed. Energy shields, stealth fighters, and artificial intelligence drones were deployed. They were crude compared to alien technology, but effective in surprising ways. The skies once filled with alien dominance now saw sudden, sharp strikes from human pilots. Captain Elena led one. Of these daring raids, flying a small but fast fighter, her squadron used every trick they had learned. They darted between alien cruisers, hitting weak spots before disappearing into asteroid fields or the dark clouds covering Earth. Every victory, no matter how small, was a spark of hope for the battered human race. Meanwhile, the alien commanders grew frustrated. Sensors showed humans fighting harder than expected, using tactics that confused their systems. "They are not the weak species we thought," one alien officer admitted grimly. "Their spirit is stronger than their technology. On Earth, Leaders began to understand that this war was not just about weapons. It was about heart and willpower. People who had once been divided by politics and borders now stood united. Scientists, soldiers, and civilians worked side by side, sharing knowledge and strength. Even in the darkest hours, communities helped one another. Stories of courage and sacrifice spread through the survivors, building a fire that no alien could extinguish. One night, beneath the ruins of a once great city, Captain Alina sat by a small fire with her team. The air was cold, and the sounds of distant battle echoed in the distance. A young pilot named Marcus looked at her, his face pale but determined. "Do you think we can really win?" he asked quietly. Alina smiled, though her eyes were tired. "We have to," she said. "They came to crush us, but they forgot one thing: humans don't give up. It's not ever. We survive, we fight, and when the time comes, we dominate." Her words were not just hope, they were a promise. The aliens had made their first strike, believing Earth would fall easily. Instead, they had awakened a force they could not control. The battle for Earth had only just begun. The invaders mocked humanity for their weakness. But humans were ready to prove that beneath the surface of a fragile world burned a fire of power and resilience no enemy could defeat. As the stars watched silently above, Earth's defenders prepared for what would come next, a fight not only for survival, but for the right to stand tall in the galaxy. The shock of the first attack had barely faded when Earth's hidden strengths began to surface. The alien invaders had expected a swift conquest, a quick, easy victory over a weak species. But they were about to discover that humanity had been quietly preparing for a war like no other, buried deep in secret research centers. Scattered across the planet were weapons and technologies that even the aliens could not foresee. These were tools of survival, of resistance, and soon, tools of domination. Captain Alina Reyes stood in the command bunker, surrounded by screens flashing with maps, data, and live feeds from the battlefront. The hum of machines filled the air, punctuated by urgent voices and rapid commands. The atmosphere was tense but electric, a mixture of fear, hope, and fierce determination. "We're not just surviving," Alina told her team. "We're fighting back, and we're going to hit them where it hurts." In the depths of Earth's defense network, scientists worked tirelessly to bring their secret projects online. One of the most guarded was the stealth fighter program's sleek ships, coated with a special material that bent light and radar signals. These ships could slip past alien patrols unseen, delivering deadly strikes with precision. They were small, fast, and deadly, the perfect weapon for a species fighting against overwhelming odds. Alongside the stealth fighters, advanced energy weapons powered by new technology surprised the aliens at every turn. Instead of relying solely on brute force, these weapons used focused bursts of energy that could disable alien shields and systems in seconds. The humans had learned to fight smarter, using speed and precision to their advantage. Artificial intelligence had also become a crucial ally. Autonomous drones equipped with powerful sensors and weaponry flew alongside human pilots, coordinating attacks and providing real-time tactical data. The drones adapted quickly, learning from each encounter, making the human forces more effective with every battle. These innovations were not just tools. They were symbols of a hidden fire within humanity, a fire the aliens had mocked but could not extinguish. On the front lines, Ina led a squadron of stealth fighters on a daring mission deep into enemy territory. Their target was an alien supply ship, massive and heavily guarded, carrying weapons and fuel crucial to the invading fleet's operations. Taking out this ship would cripple the enemy's ability to maintain their assault. The night was dark. Clouds covering the moon as the squadron slipped through space undetected. Elena's voice was calm but firm in the cockpit comes. "Remember? We strike fast and disappear. No heroics. Stay sharp." As they closed in, alien sensors suddenly flickered, a brief confused pulse. The stealth fighters had breached the defenses. With lightning speed, they unleashed a barrage of energy, blasts that tore through the supply ship's hull. Explosions rippled across the alien vessel, and it began to drift. Crippled, the squadron vanished into the shadows before the aliens could react. The message was clear. Earth was fighting back, and it was deadly. News of the raid spread quickly. Across Earth, people who had felt helpless began to feel hope. The alien invaders, once thought unstoppable, had been wounded. Humanity's hidden weapons were real, and they worked. But the aliens were not blind. They realized their mistake in underestimating Earth's capacity for resistance. Their commanders held urgent meetings, trying to understand how a planet they expected to conquer with ease could strike back so fiercely. Lord Zarthon. The alien warlord grew increasingly angry and confused. "They fight with cunning and heart," he said. "This is not the weak species we mocked. We must adapt." In an attempt to crush this growing defiance, the aliens ramped up their attacks. They unleashed more powerful weapons, bombarding Earth's cities with relentless fury. Yet every attack was met with fierce resistance. Human soldiers fought in ruined streets. Engineers repaired damaged ships under fire, and civilians refused to give up their homes and lives. Amid this chaos, the human spirit burned brighter than ever. Communities came together, sharing food, medicine, and shelter. Stories of bravery spread like wildfire, inspiring others to join the fight. Children who once hid in fear now whispered tales of the pilots who struck like ghosts and the scientists who turned enemy weapons against them. Captain Alina saw this spirit every day. In moments between battles, she met with her squad, sharing stories and hopes. "We are not just fighting for today," she said. "We are fighting for every tomorrow after this." They thought we would break. Instead, we'd burn brighter. Alien invaders tried to understand this unbreakable will. They sent spies disguised as humans into cities to learn more about their enemy. But what they found confused them. Humans cared for each other, helped strangers, and believed deeply in a future worth fighting for. This emotional strength was unlike anything the aliens had ever encountered. Back in Earth's secret labs, scientists worked tirelessly, fueled by the knowledge that every discovery could mean survival or destruction. They studied captured alien technology, finding ways to improve their own weapons and defenses. New breakthroughs came daily: stronger shields, faster engines, and weapons that could punch through the toughest alien armor. This technological race was more than just science. It was hope made real. Outside the labs, on battlefields scarred by fire and fear, human soldiers fought not only for their planet, but for their families, their dreams, and their future. The war was hard and painful, but every victory, every small success, was a step toward a future free from fear. Helena's squadron became legendary. Pilots who had once been ordinary people were now heroes, their courage and skill stories told and retold. Marcus, the young pilot she had spoken with in the ruins, became a symbol of hope and determination. One day, as the squadron prepared for another strike, Marcus said, "I never thought we could do this. I never thought we could fight like this." Elena smiled. "We are not just fighting," she said. "We are dominating. We show the galaxy what it means to survive and what it means to win." The war was far from over. The alien fleet remained vast and powerful, but humanity's fire had been ignited. The unexpected weapons and fierce spirit had turned the tide, and Earth was no longer a victim. It was a force rising to claim its place. The galaxy watched in awe and fear as Earth's defenders struck again and again. Growing stronger with each battle, the aliens who had mocked a simple world now faced a planet that refused to be broken, and this was only the beginning. The war had shifted. No longer was it just a battle of weapons and machines. It had become a battle of spirit, will, and heart. The aliens who had once mocked Earth's defenders were now faced with a reality they had never expected. Humans did not just survive their attacks, they fought back with a fierceness and resilience that defied logic. This was not a species willing to bow or break. It was a species ready to dominate. Captain Alina Reyes had come to understand something vital. This war was more than a fight for survival. It was a test of humanity's very soul. Every pilot who flew into the blackness of space, every soldier who stood against impossible odds, carried with them the hope and dreams of billions. Their courage was a beacon in the darkness. On Earth, the impact of this unyielding spirit was everywhere. Ruined cities where bombs had fallen like rain, people rebuilt. Children played amid broken streets, laughing and dreaming of a world beyond war. Farmers grew crops on scorched land, proving that life could return even after devastation. Artists painted murals of heroes, their images bright against the gray rubble. Music filled underground shelters, lifting spirits and reminding everyone what it meant to be human. The aliens, however, were perplexed. Their advanced minds could not understand the source of this strength. They sent spies and analysts to study humans closely, but the more they learned, the more confused they became. Humans were bound by connections, families, communities, shared memories, things alien technology could not measure or destroy. This invisible force was the real weapon behind Earth's resistance, Captain. Elena's squadron was at the heart of this story. Each member had their own reasons for fighting. Marcus, the young pilot, was driven by the loss of his family's home. Dr. Amina, a brilliant scientist, had lost colleagues but found new hope in every breakthrough. The squad became a family, united by a shared goal and a shared fire. One night before a mission, Alina gathered her squadron. The tension was high, but so was the determination. "We fight because we must," she said quietly. "Because this world, our home, deserves to survive. We fight because we carry the future in our hands." Her words struck deep. The pilots knew the risks, but also the hope. They flew not just for themselves, but for every child who would one day walk free on Earth, in space. The battles grew fiercer. The alien fleet struck hard, trying to crush Earth's defenders before they could grow stronger. But humans adapted quickly. Their tactics became smarter, their technology more precise. They learned to use the enemy's weaknesses against them. In one daring attack, Elena's squadron targeted an alien ship known as the Iron Leviathan, a massive war vessel that had destroyed countless human ships. The Leviathan's armor was nearly impenetrable, its weapons deadly. But the squadron had a plan. Using a combination of stealth fighters and AI drones, they launched a coordinated assault. The drones distracted the Leviathan's defenses, while the stealth pilots closed in. Marcus led a strike team that found a weak spot in the ship's hull, a tiny gap in the armor hidden behind layers of shield. With a concentrated burst of energy weapons, they breached the hull. Inside the Leviathan, chaos erupted. The human team planted explosives, crippling the ship's engines and weapon systems. The massive vessel drifted helplessly as the squadron escaped. This victory was a turning point, proof that even the greatest alien war machines could be beaten. Back on Earth, news of such victories spread hope like wildfire. People who had been broken by fear found strength in these stories. Fire of resistance grew brighter with every success. The alien commanders, now desperate, changed their strategy. They began targeting human infrastructure, power plants, communication centers, and supply routes. The war became more brutal. Civilians were caught in the crossfire. But even then, humanity's will did not falter. Communities came together to rebuild and protect. Underground tunnels became safe havens. Scientists shared knowledge openly, accelerating the development of new weapons and defenses. Soldiers and civilians alike showed courage in ways that inspired the whole world. Amid this chaos, a new alliance was forming. Some minor alien factions, disillusioned with the ruthless council leading the invasion, secretly offered support to Earth. They admired humanity's spirit and saw a chance for change in the galaxy. These alliances brought new technology and resources to Earth's defenders. They learned alien tactics and weaknesses, gaining an edge. The war was no longer just Earth's fight. It was becoming a battle for the soul of the galaxy, Captain. Lena knew the road ahead would be hard. The enemy was powerful and determined. But she also knew one thing with certainty: humanity would never stop fighting. They had already survived the worst. Now they were ready to dominate. As the stars shone above the battered Earth, the fire of human spirit burned brighter than ever. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a new power, one born from the ashes of war, fueled by courage and destined to change everything. The war had entered a new phase, one where survival was no longer enough. Humans were no longer just defending, were taking the fight to the enemy. The once mighty alien invaders who had expected a quick victory now faced a planet united. In resistance and ready to dominate the battle for the galaxy's future, Earth's warriors were evolving, learning to use every advantage, every secret, and every ally they could find. The galaxy's tides were shifting. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the newly repaired flagship Phoenix, her gaze fixed on the dark expanse ahead. The alien fleet remained vast, a sea of cold, unfeeling machines. But the human fleet had grown stronger, faster, smarter. Ships once limited by Earth's technology now carried alien weapons captured and adapted by human engineers. Shields pulsed. With new energy, pilots flew with confidence born of hard-earned victories. Elena's squadron was preparing for a bold mission, one that could change everything. They had learned of a secret alien base hidden deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter.
Yes.
This base was a critical supply hub, sending weapons and fuel to the front lines. Destroying it would cripple the alien fleet's ability to strike Earth and give humans a chance to push further into enemy territory. The plan was daring and dangerous. Elena's squad would lead a stealth strike to destroy the base's defenses, while a second team would deliver the final blow. The stakes were high, but so was the resolve. Every pilot knew the risks, but none hesitated. As the fleet moved into position, Elena took a deep breath. "Remember," she said over the comms, "this mission is about precision, speed, and silence. No mistakes." The strike began in the cold silence of space. Human stealth fighters slipped through asteroid fields, their advanced cloaking technology hiding them from alien sensors. The dark rocks around them created perfect cover, and the squadron moved with practiced grace. Suddenly, enemy patrol ships detected movement. Alarms blared across the alien base. The battle erupted with thunderous energy blasts and explosions. The human pilots danced between fire and debris, striking at turrets and supply lines with pinpoint accuracy. Inside the base, alien soldiers scrambled to mount a defense, but the humans were faster, smarter. Explosions ripped through the structure, collapsing walls and disabling power generators. The second team arrived, launching heavy missiles that tore the base apart. The destruction was complete. The alien supply hub was no more. Back on Earth, the victory was celebrated but tempered with the knowledge that the war was far from over. The alien commanders were furious, but their power was breaking. Their control over the battle was slipping away. At the same time, humans found unexpected allies. Some alien factions, tired of the war and inspired by Earth's strength, offered secret support. Ships carrying supplies, intelligence, and advanced technology slipped through enemy lines to aid the human resistance. These alliances brought hope and new strength to Earth's defenders. The Alien Council tried to crush these rebellions, but the galaxy was beginning to shift. The war was no longer just Earth's fight, it was becoming a war for freedom across the stars. Elena's squadron became legends, their daring strikes. Their courage and their skill inspired millions. Even civilians who had never held a weapon spoke of them with pride and hope. But the war also brought deep losses. Each victory came with a price. Families were torn apart, cities destroyed, and lives lost. The scars of battle ran deep. Yet through it all, humanity's fire burned brighter. As the sun rose over a recovering Earth, Elena looked at the sky and thought of the future. The galaxy was watching. The aliens who had mocked humanity now feared it. And Earth was no longer a planet to be conquered. It was a power rising. The battle ahead would be harder than ever. But humanity was ready. It had learned, adapted, and grown stronger. They discovered that survival was not enough to live. They had to dominate, and dominate they would. The war was reaching its most critical moment. After months of fierce battles, small victories, and great losses, Earth's forces were ready to take the fight directly to the heart of the alien invaders. The alien command ship, a monstrous vessel known as the Celestial Hammer, hovered near the edge of the solar system, coordinating the attacks that had nearly destroyed Earth. Destroying it would not only cripple the alien fleet, but send a powerful message to the entire galaxy: humanity was no longer a victim, but a force to be reckoned with. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the deck of the flagship Phoenix, her eyes fixed on the looming shape of the Celestial Hammer. The massive ship was heavily shielded and guarded by dozens of war cruisers and fighter squadrons. Its weapons could obliterate entire planets, and its command systems were nearly impossible to hack. But Elena and her team had spent weeks preparing. For this moment, they had studied every weakness, every pattern, every routine. They had trained their pilots to fly through the deadliest defenses. They were ready. The mission was divided into two parts. The first was a massive distraction. A fleet of human ships would attack the alien forces from multiple directions, now drawing their attention away from the real strike team. The second was the infiltration team, led by Elena, who would use stealth technology to slip inside the Celestial Hammer and plant explosives that would destroy its core systems as the battle began. The solar system exploded with light and fire. Human ships surged forward, exchanging furious blasts with alien cruisers. Explosions lit up the darkness, and debris floated in silent clouds. The distraction fleet fought bravely, knowing their role was to keep the enemy busy at all costs. Meanwhile, Elena and her team moved like shadows. Cloaked by advanced technology, they slipped past outer defenses and entered the massive ship. Inside, the halls were cold and empty, filled with strange alien machines and flashing lights. The team moved quickly, but cautiously, knowing that any mistake could mean death. They planted the explosives in the heart of the ship's power core. But as they prepared to leave, alarms blared. The aliens had detected their presence. A fierce firefight broke out in the narrow corridors. Lena and her team fought with everything they had, pushing toward their exit while the countdown on the explosives ticked down. Outside, the distraction fleet was struggling. The alien commanders had quickly realized the true threat and redirected their forces. Human ships were being destroyed in large numbers. The battle seemed to be tipping against them. But Elena's squadron broke through. Just as the explosives detonated, a massive shockwave shook the Celestial Hammer. The core systems erupted in flames, and the ship's weapons went dark. Panic spread among the alien fleet as their command ship began to fall apart. Taking advantage of the chaos, human forces launched a full assault. Alien ships tried to retreat, but the human fleet pressed forward, relentless and unyielding. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the once dominant alien armada shattered. On Earth, celebrations erupted. People cheered in the streets, tears flowing freely as hope and pride filled their hearts. The war was not yet over, but the greatest. Enemy had been dealt a crushing blow. Captain Elena stood before her squad, her face tired but radiant with victory. "We fought with courage," she said, "and we won because we never gave up. This is our home, and we will defend it, no matter what comes next." Yet, even in victory, the cost was clear. Many heroes had fallen. Cities lay in ruins. Humanity had proven that it was not just a survivor, it was a dominator, a rising power in the galaxy. The alien leaders, defeated and humiliated, sent envoys to Earth seeking peace talks. They no longer laughed or mocked, they feared. Earth's leaders faced a choice: to forgive and build a new future, or to demand justice and control. The debate was fierce, but one truth united them: humanity would never be weak again. The galaxy had changed. Earth had changed, and the fire of humanity burned brighter than ever. The war was over, but its echoes still rang across Earth and the stars beyond. The once peaceful planet now bore scar. Cities had been shattered, millions of lives lost, and landscapes forever changed. Yet beneath this devastation, a new world was rising. A world forged in fire, courage, and an unbreakable will. Humanity had not only survived the alien invasion, they had risen to dominate. Captain Elena Reyes stood on a high balcony overlooking a city slowly coming back to life. The air smelled of fresh rain mixed with the scent of rebuilding. Children ran through streets where rubble still lay. Laughter and hope replacing the fear that had once gripped the planet. Around her, people from all walks of life worked together. Scientists, soldiers, civilians united by a new purpose. The galaxy watched with wide eyes. Earth, once mocked as a weak, insignificant world, was now a major power in the stars. Alien empires, who had once looked down on humanity, now sought alliances and respect. The very forces that had tried to crush Earth had been humbled by the unyielding spirit of a people who refused to be erased. Inside the halls of power, leaders from Earth met to decide the future. Some called for peace and rebuilding. Others demanded that Earth assert itself as a protector of freedom and strength in the galaxy. But all agreed on one truth: humanity would never again be taken lightly. Alina was there, a symbol of the new age. She spoke with passion about the lessons of war. "We fought not just with weapons," she said, "but with our hearts. We learned that true strength comes from unity, courage, and belief in what we fight for. The galaxy must know where Earth stands." Ready? Scientists poured their energies into rebuilding technology and advancing knowledge. The war had accelerated humanity's progress by decades. New ships were built, stronger and faster, designed not just to defend, but to explore and protect. People told stories of the war, remembering those who had fallen and celebrating those who had risen. Music and art flourished, expressing both the pain and pride of survival. Children learned the history of this time as a tale of courage and hope, yet the future held challenges. New threats lurked in the dark spaces between stars. Not all aliens welcomed Earth's rise, but humanity was ready. They had faced the worst and won. Alina looked to the stars, feeling a deep connection to the countless lives who had fought and lived. The fire of humanity would burn forever, beacon of resilience, strength, and hope. The galaxy had changed. Earth had changed, and the story of a planet once mocked was now a legend of power and survival. A story that would inspire generations to come.